The station hung in the dark void like a jewel in space. Orbital lights flickered across its massive surface, casting long shadows over the bustling docking bays. Ships of all shapes and sizes moved slowly in the docking lanes, carrying merchants, diplomats, and travelers from countless star systems. Among them, humans were rare. Most species avoided them, speaking in hushed tones about the planet they came from, Earth, a world so harsh and dangerous that only the strongest survived. In the central market hub, the smells of exotic spices and metallic machinery mixed in the air. Alien merchants called out to potential buyers, waving long, multi-jointed arms. Shimmering fabrics floated on faint magnetic fields, while small creatures crawled in cages. Singing strange songs in high-pitched tones, the crowd was thick, and every step required careful navigation. Among the crowd, a small human child ran ahead of her mother, laughing. Her brown hair bounced with each step, and her small boots tapped against the smooth floor. She stopped to watch a hovering display of lights and images, eyes wide with wonder. Around her, aliens glanced at her curiously. Humans were not unknown here, but children were rarely seen outside Earth's settlements. Most believed human youth were fragile, soft creatures from a weak species. Unfortunately, one of the visiting aliens shared that view. A tall, spindly being with translucent skin and 3 sets of eyes noticed the child and snorted in amusement. "Look at this," it hissed to another official. "A human infant, so small. They cannot even defend themselves." Its voice was sharp and almost musical, a sound that made nearby shoppers instinctively step back. The alien stretched one long, clawed hand toward the child, intending only to intimidate. But in a single swift motion, the child stumbled backward and fell. The alien laughed, a high-pitched, cruel sound. The market froze. Merchants and shoppers stopped their negotiations, staring at the scene. The child's mother screamed, rushing forward, but before she could reach her daughter, another human stepped into view. He was tall, broad-shouldered, and moved with quiet confidence. His uniform marked him as a member of the human delegation visiting the station, but it also hinted at his past, a veteran of Earth's harshest survival programs. "Step back," he said, his voice calm but firm. The alien turned, surprised to see the human standing without fear. It expected retreat, not confrontation. "You will not touch her again." The alien sneered. "She is small, weak. Why should I fear?" The human interrupted. "Because she is human, and that is enough reason for you to stop." His tone was quiet, but every word carried a weight that seemed to ripple through the crowded hall. The alien's multiple eyes narrowed. It had dealt with humans before, but never up close. Not like this. Not one who moved with the silent precision of someone who had survived worlds where death was. Never polite, the crowd watched, sensing tension, though few understood it. Before the alien could react, the child's mother had reached them, scooping her daughter into her arms. The child clutched her mother's neck, her small body trembling. "Why did he hurt me?" she whispered, her voice shaky. The human knelt beside them, keeping one eye on the alien. "Some beings forget that humans are not like others," he said gently. "But you are safe now." Around them, whispers began. "Earth humans, they are different. The Deathworlders, they say they survived everything. I heard they trained from birth to survive." The alien, realizing it had been challenged, drew back its clawed hand. It studied the human, unsure what to do next. Fear flickered across its multiple eyes, quickly replaced by anger. "You dare," it began, but the human's calm gaze stopped it. "Enough," said the human. He stood, placing himself slightly in front of the mother and child. His stance was simple but firm. "This ends now. You will leave, or the council will hear of this." The alien hissed, taking a step back. Its pride hurt, but it knew the human was not bluffing. These humans carried more than strength. They carried the weight of a species that survived planets where most would die within weeks. The crowd began to murmur again, more loudly this time. Some aliens looked concerned, others fascinated. No one interfered further. No one wanted to be the next to provoke a human. Finally, the alien official turned and slinked away, trailing behind it an entourage that looked embarrassed. Its head swiveled one last time toward the humans, and it hissed something under its breath in a language that none of the humans understood. The human exhaled, lowering his stance. "Are you both all right?" he asked the mother and child. She nodded, holding her daughter tighter. The child looked up at him with wide eyes, a mix of fear and awe. You didn't fight him," she said softly. "I didn't need to." He replied with a faint smile. "Sometimes the quietest action is the strongest." The mother nodded, still shaken. "Thank you. We didn't know what to do." He placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "That's why I'm here. To make sure humans are never underestimated, especially the youngest among us, as the market slowly returned to normal." Whispers continued to spread. Some aliens muttered about human bravery, others about the strange resilience in their eyes. Rumors of the Deathworlders spread quickly, faster than any gossip normally would. By the time the human delegation returned to their ship, the story of the incident was already reaching other stations. The child, tucked safely in her mother's arms, looked up at the human who had protected her. "Are all humans like you?" she asked. He chuckled softly. "No, but all humans survive, and sometimes. That is stronger than any weapon." Meanwhile, in a distant corner of the station, the alien official seethed. Pride wounded, it swore silently to report the humans to the council. It underestimated them once and it would not make the mistake again. But for the humans, the day had ended with no bloodshed, no victory needed, just a quiet demonstration of what they had always known. Humanity survived, and the galaxy would soon learn that the hard way. That night, as the stars gleamed over the station, the human envoy watched the colony lights below. He thought about the species that underestimated humans, the species that had never faced a real death world, and he knew one thing for certain: the galaxy was about to understand that humans were not fragile, not weak, and definitely not to be trifled with. The incident was small, but the consequences would be vast. The whispers, the rumors, the careful notes sent to the council, they would all converge into one simple truth: humans are Deathworlders, and harming one would bring more consequences than any alien could imagine. The human turned back toward the ship, ready to depart. Behind him, the mother and child waved, unaware of how significant today's events would become. But somewhere in the shadows, the alien official plotted, and the humans strong, patient, and unyielding, prepared to meet whatever came next. For Earth's children, and for humanity itself, the galaxy was about to learn a lesson. The human delegation left the station under a quiet sense of purpose. Ships glided through the void, leaving streaks of light behind as they moved toward the Galactic Council, a massive orbital citadel that hung above the neutral planet Vertus Prime. The Council was a place where species from across the galaxy gathered to solve disputes, negotiate trade, and sometimes avoid war. For the humans, it would be their first real test. The child, now safe in her mother's care, waved from the observation deck of the human ship. Her eyes, wide with wonder, reflected the countless stars outside. "Will they hurt us again?" she asked, her voice small. The human envoy, Commander Elias Reed, shook his head. "Not if we do our job right. But we cannot assume they will understand what it means to hurt a human, especially a child." His gaze was distant, thoughtful. He had faced countless dangers on Earth, survived storms, predators, and hostile worlds. But the galaxy's politics were another kind of danger entirely. The journey to the council was long, but Elias used the time to train his team. Young human diplomats and security officers drilled quietly, practicing both defensive maneuvers and negotiation tactics. They were ready for any challenge. In the halls of the ship, whispers spread among the crew about the incident in the market. Even those who had never seen combat felt a quiet pride. Earth humans might be underestimated, but their presence was already leaving an impression. Meanwhile, reports of the incident had already reached alien settlements across the sector. In some systems, the story was told with disbelief. A child harmed? And humans did not retaliate with violence? Others were more cautious. The humans are quiet, yes, but something about them, dangerous. They survived planets where predators would kill instantly across the galaxy. The reputation of Earth's Deathworlders was growing, fueled by rumors and half-truths like Dot in one distant system. A merchant delegation from the Velaryon cluster gathered in a shimmering council chamber. "Have you heard?" said one, his voice a high, musical trill. A human child was struck by a visiting alien, and the humans simply stood their ground. The officials claim humans are not weak. "What kind of species does that?" "Deathworlders," another replied quietly. "From Earth, they survive everything from toxic storms to alien predators. They are trained to endure, to strike when necessary. Even their children are not fragile." The whispers reached the ears of Elias Reed's crew. The humans understood the power of reputation, but even they were surprised at how quickly the galaxy reacted. They could not rely solely on stories. They had to act, and act carefully, to ensure that justice was served and that humans were not seen as threats without cause. During the journey, the human delegation passed through minor space lanes where other species tested them. Small groups of alien fighters, curious and sometimes arrogant, approached the ship. Some attempted intimidation maneuvers, flying close and performing sharp evasive movements. The humans did not respond with aggression, only with precise, calm defensive strategies. Elias observed silently from the bridge. "Do not fire unless fired upon," he instructed. "We are here to resolve this diplomatically, but if they make a mistake, they will regret it." The aliens underestimated them at first. They thought humans would panic or flee. Instead, the human ship moved with skill and confidence, evading every challenge without unnecessary violence. A message from one of the alien pilots later admitted, "These humans, strange and not weak, not like we expected." By the time they reached Veritas Prime, the human delegation had gained a quiet aura of respect and caution. Even the neutral station officials, normally polite but detached, treated them with a subtle nod. The humans had shown that they were disciplined, clever, and unafraid of confrontation, even when not directly aggressive. At the council's entrance, massive docking bays opened to welcome the delegation. Ships from countless species were already present, forming a chaotic, colorful array. Each craft reflected its species, culture, and technology, from sleek metallic designs to floating, translucent shapes that hovered without engines. But the human ship drew attention. Its design was simple but practical, built for survival rather than display. Observers whispered, recognizing the mark of Earth's Deathworlders. Inside the council, the atmosphere was tense. Aliens of all shapes and sizes debated issues, some minor, some of great consequence. The humans were led to a conference chamber, a vast space with tall ceilings and glowing walls. Holographic displays hovered above tables, showing planets, trade routes, and legal records. Elias Reed stepped forward, standing tall as his team followed. Their presence alone seemed to quiet the room. No one spoke at first. Aliens whispered among themselves, some skeptical, some wary. This was the first time humans had entered the council chambers directly in such a public way. The human envoy began with calm, deliberate words. "We are here to present a matter of justice. A child of our species was harmed by a visiting official. The act was intentional, unnecessary, and dangerous. We request that the council review this matter and ensure accountability." The alien official responsible, a tall, spindly being with translucent skin, squirmed in its chair. Its 3 sets of eyes blinked rapidly. It had expected no one to challenge it outside the colony. Yet here were the humans, composed, firm, and determined. Other delegates murmured. Some tried to dismiss the humans. "It is only a human child," one said. "Why make this a matter for the council?" Elias did not respond with anger. He only placed a small device on the table. A recording played a holographic image of the incident in the market. The child fell, the alien laughed, and Elias stepped in to protect her. The chamber went silent. The evidence was clear. The human child had been harmed. The humans had restrained themselves, had not retaliated violently, and yet demanded justice. Whispers grew louder. "They do not attack unnecessarily, but they do not forgive either." One of the council's senior members, a massive creature with 6 arms and golden scales, leaned forward. "These humans, They are not as weak as we believed. Their restraint is unusual, their courage remarkable. What species has such discipline? Elias Reed spoke again. Earth humans survive worlds you cannot imagine. We endure storms that would destroy cities, predators that can tear apart entire teams. From childhood, we are trained to survive, to endure, to respond with precision when necessary. When you harm a human, especially a child, you risk consequences far beyond what you imagine. The alien official bristled. You exaggerate. Humans are fragile. Another holographic clip played. This time, it showed humans on their home planet navigating toxic storms. Dense forests filled with deadly predators and icy plains where survival seemed impossible. Even the council members who had doubted humans began to murmur. The stories aligned with the humans' testimony. By the end of the day, the council had agreed to a preliminary review. The alien official would be questioned, and a full investigation would follow. The humans had achieved what they came for, not through aggression, but through careful planning, evidence, and calm authority. Outside the council chambers, Elias and his team walked quietly. The crew had noticed subtle changes in the way aliens treated them, curiosity mixed with respect, caution mixed with fear. The humans understood that their reputation had begun to spread. Do you think they understand yet? One young diplomat asked. They will, Elias replied. The galaxy will learn. But we must be patient. We survive because we endure, not because we intimidate. Let the council do its work. That evening, as the stars glimmered beyond the council windows, whispers continued in corridors and docking bays. Aliens told each other stories of human resilience, of children who survived dangers unthinkable to most species, of adults who faced death calmly and strategically. The term Deathworlders began to appear more frequently, whispered with a mix of fear and admiration. The humans, meanwhile, prepared for the next steps. Investigation hearings would follow, evidence would be reviewed, and the council would decide the fate of the alien official. But Elias knew that no matter the outcome, the galaxy had already learned something important. Harming a human, especially a child, was never a small act. It carried consequences that no alien could predict, and it would not be forgotten. In quiet moments, as the human delegation rested in their chambers, they reflected on their journey. Each member understood the subtle power humans held not through brute strength alone, but through endurance, intelligence, and moral clarity. The galaxy was vast, full of species with advanced technology and cunning minds. But humans carried a different kind of power, the power of survival, of determination, and of principles that could not be ignored. And somewhere, in a corner of the council's halls, the alien official fumed. Pride wounded, authority challenged, it whispered to itself in frustration. It underestimated humans once, and now the consequences were spreading across the galaxy. By the time the council reconvened the next day, humans were no longer just participants. They were symbols, a reminder that even the youngest among them, even children, carried the strength and spirit of a species shaped by worlds designed to destroy all who could not endure. The council chamber was immense, larger than any building the humans had ever seen. Its walls were lined with glowing panels, showing holographic images of planets, trade routes, and legal statutes. Beings of every imaginable shape and color filled the seats, their conversations blending into a low hum that resonated through the chamber. For the humans, this was a place of immense importance, and also a test unlike any other. Commander Elias Reed and his delegation entered, moving with quiet confidence. Though humans were physically smaller than many of the species present, they carried themselves with a presence that demanded attention. Aliens whispered to each other as the humans passed. Some spoke of the incident at the colony, while others speculated about the true capabilities of Earth's Deathworlders. At the head of the chamber sat the council's senior chair, a golden-scaled creature with 6 eyes and an air of authority that made even the boldest delegates quiet. Next to it, the alien official responsible for the incident, tall, spindly, with translucent skin and 3 sets of sharp eyes, sat nervously, glancing at the humans and shifting in its seat. Its pride had been wounded, and it knew the humans were prepared to present a case that could not be ignored. Elias stepped forward. Honored members of the council, he began, his voice calm but carrying through the vast chamber. "We come here not to start a conflict, but to seek justice. A child of our species was harmed by a visiting official, and the act was deliberate. We present evidence of the incident and request that the Council ensure accountability." He tapped a small device, and a holographic recording filled the chamber. The market scene played in vivid detail, the child running, the alien lunging, the laughter, the fall, and finally, Elias stepping in to protect her. The room fell silent. Murmurs rose and fell, delegates exchanging glances. Some tried to minimize the event. "It is only a child," one voice said, a high-pitched trill from a species with long, flowing tendrils. "Why bring this to the council?" Elias did not raise his voice. Instead, he walked slowly through the chamber, allowing each delegate to see the calm determination on his face. "It is precisely because it is a child that it matters," he replied. "Harming a human, no matter how young, is never a small act. You underestimate the consequences of such actions at your own peril." The alien official bristled. "You exaggerate. Humans are fragile. Your species cannot endure like ours can. Why do you make such claims?" Elias produced another device. A holographic display showed humans on Earth, children navigating storm-lashed landscapes, adults surviving deadly predators, entire communities enduring conditions that would wipe out most species. The images were stark, showing endurance, courage, and intelligence. "This is the species you call fragile?" Elias asked softly, yet the question carried weight. "These are humans. We endure, we survive, and we act when injustice is done." A ripple of murmurs spread through the chamber. Delegates who had once doubted humans leaned forward, eyes widening. Some spoke in low tones to their neighbors. "They survive everything, and still they protect their young. We underestimated them." The alien official shifted uncomfortably. Its eyes darted from Elias to the council members, searching for allies. Some delegates were still skeptical, but the evidence was undeniable. Every claim the humans made was backed by visual proof, witness testimony, and detailed explanation. One of the council's senior members, a massive being with 4 arms and crystalline wings, leaned forward. "Your species. You are different than any we have encountered. You endure what would destroy others, and you act with discipline even in the face of danger. Why have we not known this before?" Elias spoke clearly. "Because humans do not seek to prove themselves unnecessarily. We survive because we must, and we protect each other because it is the right thing to do. The galaxy has not encountered a Deathworlder before, one who is calm, disciplined, and capable of surviving worlds that seem impossible. This incident is small, but the principle is large. To harm a human, especially a child, is to risk consequences you cannot foresee." The alien official opened his mouth to speak, but Elias continued. "We do not come seeking war. We come seeking justice. And if the Council does not act, we will ensure that all species understand the strength, resilience, and moral clarity of humans. We will not retaliate unnecessarily, but we will never allow injustice to pass unchecked." The Council fell silent, a low hum of tension filling the chamber. Aliens whispered to each other. Some were curious, others fearful. Every delegate understood that humans were unlike any species they had met, and the alien official, once proud and arrogant, now looked small and uncertain. The chair of the council spoke. Its voice was deep and resonant, carrying authority. "We have heard your evidence, Commander Reed. The actions of the alien official are clear. But the council requires more than testimony. We require understanding. Explain to us, fully, why humans endure so much, and why even harming a child is a serious offense in your society." Elias nodded. "We come from a planet designed to challenge survival. From birth, humans are tested by harsh climates, dangerous wildlife, and scarce resources. Every challenge shapes us to endure, to think critically, and to act decisively. We value life, but we do not tolerate harm done without consequence. Protecting children is a sacred duty. Any act against them reflects on the species responsible, and it must be addressed." He gestured to the holographic displays. Images showed humans hunting in wild forests, climbing icy mountains, navigating toxic swamps, and surviving storms that could level cities. The chamber was quiet. Every delegate focused on the evidence, the child in question. Elias continued, was harmed intentionally by an official who believed humans weak. That belief was mistaken. Humans do not need to prove their strength through violence, but we will enforce our principles when necessary. Harming a human carries consequences political, social, and, if ignored, potentially catastrophic. The alien official's multiple eyes blinked rapidly. It realized that it had underestimated the humans once, but this time the council saw the truth. It tried to speak, to explain itself, but the words faltered. No one defended it. The evidence was undeniable. One of the council's delegates, a tall, crystalline being with glowing veins, spoke. We have underestimated humans. We assumed fragility. We assumed they would cower before authority. But they demonstrate restraint, intelligence, and moral clarity. We must reconsider how we engage with them. Elias nodded. We do not ask for fear or worship. We ask for recognition of principle. Justice must be served, and those who harm innocents must be accountable. This is not a matter of aggression, it is a matter of moral order. The council debated late into the day. Arguments were made for leniency, for punishment, for careful diplomacy. But every time someone tried to downplay the human strength, Elias calm. Factual presentations reminded the chamber of the truth. Humans survive where others fail. And they enforce justice not through unchecked violence, but through patience, evidence, and clarity of purpose. As the hours passed, the alien official grew more anxious. Its pride was shattered. It realized that it could not manipulate the council as it had hoped. The humans' quiet power, their ability to endure present facts and demand accountability was undeniable. The whispers of Deathworlders grew louder within the chamber. Even species that had once dismissed humans as weak began to reconsider. Finally, the council chair spoke. The evidence is clear. The actions of the alien official were deliberate and harmful. The council finds the official guilty of misconduct and orders a review of penalties, including possible exile and sanctions. The alien official shrank in its seat. It had expected to avoid consequences, relying on its authority and influence. But the humans' calm strength had prevailed. They had not shouted, not threatened, not used brute force, but they had demonstrated the undeniable truth of their species. Elias Reed stepped back, allowing the council to proceed with its rulings. His team remained composed, knowing that their work was not finished, but that they had achieved a significant victory. The child's safety was affirmed, and the alien official's authority had been checked. Outside the chamber, whispers continued. Delegates discussed the humans in odd tones. They are not just survivors, they are Deathworlders, one said. We have underestimated them for too long. Elias spoke quietly to his team. The council has ruled, but the galaxy will continue to test us. Remember, our strength is patience, endurance, and principle. Violence is not always the answer. Evidence and calm resolve are our weapons. In quiet moments, as the humans rested in their chambers, they reflected on the events. They had faced a test of diplomacy and morality, not combat. And in that test, humans had proved that they were more than their size or numbers. They were a species shaped by survival, resilience, and a commitment to justice. Even the youngest members of the delegation felt pride. They understood that humans were now recognized as something extraordinary in the galaxy. The whispers of Deathworlders were no longer rumors, they were a growing reality. A reputation that would follow humanity wherever it went. The council chamber was quieter than usual the morning after the verdict. Aliens of every shape and color filled the seats, whispering to each other, their voices carrying a mix of awe and caution. The ruling had been made. The alien official responsible for harming the human child was guilty, sanctioned, and set to be exiled. For the humans, it was more than justice, it was recognition of a principle they had always lived by. Commander Elias Reed stood with his delegation at the edge of the chamber, observing the reactions of the other species. Some looked nervous, others impressed. A few openly speculated about the humans' abilities, but all had learned a valuable lesson. Underestimate humans at your own peril. Outside the council, the news traveled fast. across docking bays, market hubs, and communication relays. The story of the incident spread like wildfire. Aliens whispered in hushed tones. The humans stood without striking. Yet they commanded respect. They protect their young with quiet strength. And yet no one dares challenge them now. Everywhere the phrase Deathworlders was repeated, carrying a new meaning. Humans were no longer just survivors, they were a symbol of endurance, intelligence, and moral clarity. On the human ship, Elias addressed his team. "The Council has made its ruling," he said, his voice calm but carrying authority. "But our work is not over. The galaxy will continue to test humans. Some may challenge us, others may underestimate us. We survive because we endure, because we act wisely, and because we protect what matters. Remember that in everything we do." The crew nodded, understanding the weight of his words. This was a lesson not just in survival, but in diplomacy, strategy, and moral responsibility. They were representatives of humanity now, and every action would reflect on their species. Meanwhile, in distant sectors, alien diplomats discussed the events with growing seriousness. The news of the alien officials' guilt and the humans' calm, methodical approach sparked conversations among leaders. Some debated forming alliances with humans, others reconsidered old prejudices. Across the galaxy, a new respect or at least caution was growing. Back on the Council planet, Elias and his team watched as the sanctioned alien official was escorted from the chamber. Its pride was shattered, and its eyes once full of arrogance now reflected the weight of a lesson learned. The official had underestimated humans, and the consequences were undeniable. In the days that followed, the human delegation received messages from countless species. Many expressed cautious congratulations, while others simply acknowledged the human's reputation with quiet respect. The story of the child, the market, and the council ruling became an example taught across systems. Humans were not fragile, and their endurance and moral clarity demanded recognition. The child, now fully recovered, became a symbol among the human delegation. Her laughter returned, echoing across the ship as she played in the observation deck. Yet she carried with her the knowledge that humans were not ordinary, that even a child could represent the strength of a species shaped by the harshest worlds. Elias reflected on this quietly one evening as the ship drifted past a cluster of distant stars. "The galaxy will test us," he said to his second-in-command, Lieutenant Marhays. "Some will challenge, some will underestimate, but they will always remember today's lesson. We survive, we endure, and we protect our own. That is what makes us humans the Deathworlders." Mar nodded. "They will think twice before harming another human. The Council's ruling sends a message, but our presence everywhere else reinforces it. Indeed, the galaxy had begun to change. Aliens who had once ignored humans now spoke cautiously of them in meetings and communications. The phrase Deathworlders became synonymous not just with survival, but with intelligence, strategy, and moral resolve. Humans were a species that could not be ignored, one whose principles were as strong as their ability to endure. Meanwhile, the sanctioned alien official faced exile and sanctions. It traveled to a remote world, its pride in tatters, forced to reflect on its mistake. Every communication it received reminded it of the humans' calm power and the consequences of underestimating them. The lesson was clear: actions have repercussions, and humans were patient and enduring enough to ensure justice. Back on the human ship, the crew continued their journey. Their mission to represent humanity had succeeded, but they knew their role in the galaxy had only just begun. They would carry the story of the child, the market, and the council ruling to distant systems, teaching others that humans were not just survivors. They were a species shaped by the harshest conditions, capable of endurance, strategy, and moral clarity. Elias took a moment to reflect on the lessons learned. Humans had shown restraint when it mattered most, had presented undeniable evidence, and had acted with a clarity of principle that few species could match. The Council had recognized this, and the galaxy had begun to understand it. But Elias knew that reputation alone was not enough. Humans would continue to demonstrate their strength, endurance, and moral clarity in all interactions. The child played nearby, her laughter a reminder of what had been defended. Protecting the youngest among them had not just been a duty. It had been a demonstration of humanity's principles. The Council had ruled, the alien official had been held accountable. And yet the true victory was the lesson imparted to the galaxy. Humans were Deathworlders, and they would not tolerate injustice. Across the stars, whispers continued. Aliens who had once underestimated humans now shared stories of their resilience. Some speculated about the potential of forming alliances, while others simply nodded with caution when humans were mentioned. The galaxy had begun to acknowledge that humans were different, not fragile, not weak, but enduring, clever, and principled. As the ship traveled further into the depths of space, Elias addressed his delegation once more. Remember, we survive not because we fight first, but because we endure and act wisely. Today, the Council has recognized this. Tomorrow, the galaxy will continue to test us, but humans will continue to stand strong. We protect our own, and we act with clarity and purpose. That is what it means to be human. The crew absorbed his words, understanding that their actions represented more than themselves. They represented a species. Every planet they visited, every council they attended, every interaction with alien species would now carry the weight of humanity's reputation. And that reputation was powerful, built on endurance, strategy, and principle. The child looked up at Elias, eyes shining. Will they understand now? She asked. They will, he replied, smiling. Some will understand immediately. Others will learn over time. But every action we take reminds them humans survive, humans endure, and humans protect their own. That is the truth they cannot ignore. The galaxy had learned its first lesson. But Elias knew there would be more. New challenges, new species, and new tests of humanity's endurance awaited. Yet the humans were ready. They had faced a test of diplomacy and principle, and they had prevailed without unnecessary violence, and so the humans continued their journey. Across the stars, their reputation as Deathworlders spread. Aliens whispered cautiously, some with admiration, some with fear, but all with recognition. Humans had proven that they were not fragile, not weak, and not to be underestimated. Elias Reed stood at the observation deck, looking out at the vast expanse of space. Stars shimmered like diamonds against the black canvas of the void. He knew that the galaxy was vast and unpredictable. But humans had something unique: the strength to survive anything, the intelligence to act wisely, and the moral clarity to protect what mattered. The Council had ruled. The alien official had faced justice, and the child had been protected. Yet the true consequence of the incident was not just in punishment. It was in the message sent across the stars. Humans were Deathworlders, and the galaxy would think twice before harming one again. The whispers continued, traveling faster than any fleet. Across countless worlds, aliens discussed the humans in hushed tones, retelling the story of the market, the child, and the Council confrontation. The phrase Deathworlders carried weight now, a symbol of survival, discipline, and principle. And somewhere, far away on a remote planet, the exiled alien official reflected on its mistakes. Every action it took, every communication it received, reminded it of the humans' quiet power. It had learned the hard way. Underestimating humans had consequences. Far beyond what it could imagine, the human ship sailed onward, carrying its crew, the child, and the lessons of the galaxy. The journey was not over. More challenges would come. More species would doubt them. But humans would continue to endure, continue to protect, and continue to demonstrate the strength that had earned them the title of Deathworlders. And so, across the stars, the galaxy began to change its understanding of humanity. From whispered warnings to cautious respect, from rumors to recognition. The lesson was clear. Harming a human, any human, was never without consequence. The humans had survived, endured, and acted with principle, and their reputation would endure long after this incident. For the humans, it was not about fear, not about intimidation. It was about principle, endurance, and the quiet strength that had always defined their species. And as they traveled further into the galaxy, that strength would guide them, protect them, and ensure that humanity's legacy as Deathworlders would never be forgotten.